From the NewsChannel 5 Network and Out and About Nashville, this is Out and About Today. Sponsored by the Tennessee Performing Arts Center.
Good evening, I'm Pam Wheeler and welcome to a very special edition of Out and About Today. Tonight, our show is dedicated to just one topic, pre-exposure, prophylaxis, or simply PrEP. For our viewers who want to stay HIV negative, you won't want to miss this show, so stay tuned the whole entire show. Our guest tonight, Richard MacKinnon, the Executive Director of the Bragg Music City PrEP Clinic, and Rob Sikorski, a client advocate and a patient willing to share his experiences, and I appreciate that, Rob. Welcome, guys, to the show. Rob, you've been on the show a bunch talking about HRC, Victory Fund, all kinds of topics when I can drag you on. Rich, you're new. So I want to get to know you first before we talk about the clinic and PrEP. So tell our viewers a little bit about you.
Well, I'm relatively new to Nashville, about 4 years now. I have a background in startups and nonprofits. And we started up this clinic as sort of a retirement job for a friend of mine who lived in the neighborhood. He was the assistant commissioner for the Tennessee Department of Mental Health and Substance Abuse Services. And his name was Rod Bragg. And I had an association, a close friendship with a similar clinic in Austin, Texas. And I thought, well, this would be a great opportunity for him to retire into after he left the state. So a small group of us decided to form this organization. He would be the first executive director, I would be the board chair, Joe Taylor would be the medical director, Stephen Davidson would be secretary treasurer. And shortly after Rod got us our 501c3 status, it's the federal nonprofit tax exempt status, he committed suicide suddenly. And we needed to decide at that point, should we just wrap things up before we incur any more expenses, or was our mission just as important after Rod's death as before? So I stepped into the role of interim executive director, and here I am in a job I created for someone else and never wanted.
Right,
Yeah.
but to hear that story, it speaks of the passion that you and your team have to have. And you're a couple of years in, is that right?
Yeah, we have a couple birthdays, you know, like there's the birthday of getting the 501c3 status, there's the birthday of beginning pharmacy operations, there's the birthday of seeing our first patient. There's different milestones.
Sure.
Yeah.
So let's start just with the simple question of what is PrEP and how long has it been around?
Yep. Yeah. So PrEP is a pill that you can take daily. It's made by the manufacturer Gilead. The name of the drug specifically is Truvada as PrEP. PrEP is an acronym for pre-exposure prophylaxis. And it's, for people that don't know what a prophylaxis is, a condom is a prophylactic. Okay. And so this is a biomedical prophylaxis or prophylactic. And so instead of using a condom, you can take this pill.
Okay, and Rob, you're a patient, so you take the pill. I was asking you, I was giving you the 10th degree before we got on air because I'm just curious, just like perhaps women take a pill to prevent pregnancy. What if you miss a pill? Tell me a little bit about the day-to-day because our viewers will want to know what kind of inconvenience this is. So is it simple or what?
It's pretty simple. You take one pill daily and you just take it with whatever you may take in the morning, whether that's multivitamin or if you have other pills that you take, you just include that in it. It's a monthly supply that you renew monthly, and if you do miss, that's not a huge deal. You just pick it up again the next day and go from there. It may diminish it a little bit down a couple days later, but it's still pretty effective at that point.
Okay, so who should be on PrEP? Let's talk about that. Who should?
Right. So anybody that has more than one sexual partner should be on PrEP. People that are in a relationship with an HIV positive person, if you're in a relationship with someone who uses injection drugs, or you yourself use injection drugs. And
what's the downside?
What is the downside?
If you fall into those categories, what would somebody say? What's the downside?
Like, what are the risks to taking
risks,
PrEP?
side effects?
Side effects. So what's really interesting about Truvada as PrEP is that when used by HIV negative people for HIV prevention, there are very, very few side effects for the very, very few people that report side effects. So in a way, it's kind of a miracle drug. Like when I first got onto it, my primary care physician said that if he had the power, he would dissolve it into the water supply like fluoride, so that every man, woman, and child would have it, because it's totally worth the public health benefits versus the risks.
Right, okay. Yeah. So then there's got to be a reason more people aren't on it. Is it cost? Is it expensive? Here we go.
Yes.
Rob, it's expensive. Tell me about that.
Well, if you don't have insurance, it's incredibly expensive unless you get involved.
How much are we talking?
I don't have those numbers.
$1,000?
$2,000 a month.
There you go.
$2,000 out of your pocket if you don't have insurance.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need to ask though, you have insurance. You go to the clinic, you have to have insurance to be a patient?
No, and that's part of the reason why we created the clinic, right? The clinic is not just any normal kind of STD clinic or even healthcare practice. We have a nonprofit mission to end the epidemic in Nashville and Middle Tennessee. So get to 0 new HIV infections. And we do this by making the medication accessible to as many people as possible. So it doesn't matter if you have insurance or you're underinsured or you have no insurance. We're going to go out of our way to figure out how to pay for the medication so you can have it.
Wow.
Yeah.
So how do you make that work? How are you funded? How are you able to do that?
So the way it works is we are recognized by the federal government as there's jargon here, but as a special kind of STD clinic with a nonprofit mission, which then enables us to obtain the medication at essentially wholesale prices.
Okay, so that's not going to happen if you go to your PCP. Is that what I'm understanding? If you roll into your PCP with insurance, you get on it. But if you don't have insurance, you're not going to be able to get the same service from your PCP.
That's true. We are much more comprehensive in the way that we help make sure that our patients get onto the medication and stay on the medication, because we actually have the entire community's health, sexual health and wellness in mind. So we're managing the whole population.
I have to say that was actually a huge driver on my going to the Music City Prep Clinic, is the ability to knowing that my good insurance is helping so many other people. So my insurance helps up to 10 people without it.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. Well, we've got to take a short break, okay? When we come back, we'll continue the discussion. So don't go away. When we continue, we'll continue our discussion on the Bragg Music City Prep Clinic. Stay with us.